Alright everybody, welcome back. So I figured it's a perfect time to go ahead and take a look at one of the aircraft that got an upgrade this patch that's kind of gotten overlooked, and that is the T-2. This thing has been in the game for quite some time. For those of y'all who remember whenever patch 1.87 Locked On came out, this thing was absolutely terrifying on release. It was the scourge of the earth. Anybody else remember, ground spawning in your F100 against air spawning T-2s on Wake Island? But in any case, it's been in a pretty rough spot for a while now. It is still a flareless 9.7, and it only had aim my knees as well, and the flight performance really isn't all that amazing either. Now, this update, Gaijin went ahead and gave it aim 9Ps, just like its F1, which is the single-seat brother, and this makes it pretty good at 9.7, actually, as long as you don't mind the fact that it doesn't have flares. Because you now have two very competent missiles for the BR, and as far as I'm aware, this is the only supersonic platform below 10.0 that has aim 9P, so pretty interesting, honestly. Flight performance wise, the biggest advantage this thing has is of course being supersonic. It'll hit Mach 1.5 at altitude. On the deck, you're probably going to be going around Mach 1.1 to 1.15, which although it is faster than most of the stuff of this BR, it's not by much, and even then there are still a lot of planes that can outrun you. Of course, the F-104s are also 9.3, the SMT, stuff like that will all be able to outrun you. And to be honest, even a lot of like the high-end subsonic stuff isn't that much slower than you, so you are going to have a hard time catching some of them before they run back to the airfield. Like for example, the Super Aton Dart right here. He is just going to run, and then whenever we get close enough to actually be able to shoot him, he is going to crash on the ground on purpose and then start complaining in chat about how he doesn't want someone to get the kill. Please, don't be this guy. Please, I beg of you. In any case, that slight rant out of the way, besides your high speed performance, the T-2 is kind of a boat other than that. It does pull a lot of AOA. The thing is, it's kind of like the Lightning, which I covered earlier on this channel. It'll pull its nose around, but then it kind of likes to drift in the air. And so you're going to have a lot of times where you're sitting there with your nose on somebody, but you can't pull around in time. And here's him crashing, by the way. What a gamer move. He's just such a good player. But in any case, you're not going to be able to hang with most stuff in a dogfight. You can pop landing flaps if you really want to against maybe some of the other supersonics, but in any case, I wouldn't really recommend that. Just stay fast, use your AOA, and then lob off your aim 9Ps, because all these flareless planes are not going to be able to deal with a supersonic aim 9P slinger at 9.7, especially because the 9P still has radar slaving, which the aim 9J lost, by the way, so having two aim 9Ps with this radar isn't bad at all, because it actually has pulse doppler at 9.7, in case you missed that. Now, I don't usually use it because the normal search is more than enough. I don't have to deal with the speed limitation to pulse doppler, but having a pulse doppler radar at 9.7 can be really useful, especially with how poor the spotting system is with these new clouds, which, by the way, I'm not happy about these clouds this update. I really, really wish they would just remove them from ground level where most people are flying. All it does is just make it incredibly difficult to spot people, which I don't really think is good for gameplay. This does come with its downsides, of course. Being a not really maneuverable supersonic at 9.7 was great and all if you had flares, and of course this thing doesn't have flares, and it's also not as fast as someone like an F-104 or an F-105. And so you're going to have a lot of times where you just get somebody 180 on you and fire a missile, and there's really nothing you can do. You can run the rocket pods if you wish to do so. They do sometimes work as like flares-ish. Personally, I really hate losing that flight performance, which is why I don't run them, but that is an option if you wish to do so. I just would personally try and stay out of the situations in the first place where I could have that happen, although I am about to get beamed here in a second. In any case, though, this is the playstyle I'd recommend. Just stay fast above Mach 0.9, zoom in and out of the fights, because you are still going faster than most people, and go ahead and use those 9Ps and your Vulcan. Don't stay committed to any fights, because, like I said, you are a flareless 9.7. By the way, I know some people think this thing had flares in the real life. It did not. It had a chaff pod, like the F-105, which, I mean, sure, go ahead and give it to it, but that wouldn't really help it in game. You can hear that whooshing sound. I look behind me. There's a Mirage 5 that just dive out of space, and all you gotta do is just go ahead and fire a magic at me. And there's nothing I can do here. Even if I had the rockets, I probably would have ignored it because of its direct rear aspect, and then I just get absolutely beamed. Here's a case of that radar slaving I was talking about, because the aim 9P and aim 9J did get a gimbal limit buff this patch, which really helps in situations like this. I just get a radar lock, fire my 9P as I come over, and I pick up a nice easy frag on that Jag right there. While the 9P is an excellent missile, you still only get 2 of them, and you're going to be getting most of your kills with your gun, which, by the way, the Vulcan, after the real shatter changes, is an excellent gun with air targets, and you're going to be taking out most targets in single hit, although the SC-25's damage model is still an absolute tank. 750 rounds is more than enough to go and get 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 or 9 kills, depending on how much you spray. I would recommend practicing trigger discipline because you really don't need to use that much ammo, but you are very much able to go ahead and pick up a lot of frags with this thing if you don't get focused down or shot with an AIM-9L like the A10 in front of me. So if you recall, earlier I mentioned that you can run dumb rockets as kind of pseudo flares. Well, the same thing goes with your AIM-9. So he launches an AIM-9L at me, I just go ahead and launch my 9P in the head-on, and his AIM-9L will go for the AIM-9 every single time if you launch it. Now, you only get 2 of these, and it does deprive you of a kill, but it's much more reliable in the rockets from my experience, and I haven't gotten killed once as long as I managed to actually fire a missile in time. And to be honest, I mean, the Vulcan is more than enough anyways to get most of your kills, so I don't mind trading an AIM-9P to stay alive. Now, I especially would recommend this if you only have AIM-9Bs, for example, like if you have something, for example, like the F3H in a full up tier, which has 4 AIM-9Bs. But in any case, it kept me alive and lets me go on ahead and rack up a few frags. Matchmaker-wise, this thing has not been too favorable for me. I actually did go ahead and keep track of my games. I did 11 games, and 8 of those were full up tiers at 10.7, which is not good at all. Now, I did get one 8.7 game, and I'm going to go ahead and show that now. And in a full down tier, this thing is pretty much untouchable. Almost nothing can catch you. You're going to have some F-104As and, like, maybe stuff like the MiG-19, which can kind of keep up. The MiG-19 can't really catch you in a straight line, but it does have massive energy retention. But all these 8.7s and 9.0s and 9.3s are just food. Now, I do want to say I horribly whiffed my shots. This was my first game back in the T2 whenever I did it, and I'm not used to the gun position on this thing. It's like below the plane to the left, and it really whacked me out when I was trying to aim right here, so please excuse my terrible aim. But you can see you do get plenty of trigger time with my horrible aim. The rudder also doesn't help, in case you can't tell. The rudder acts kind of weird. It's kind of like the Kafir in that regard, not quite as bad as the Kafir's rudder. It is going to bother you sometimes. But y'all could see right there, this thing does have a good roll rate, it just can't really pull in time. There's actually a couple shots right there, which if I'd been able to pull a little bit more, and not just AOA, I probably would have gotten the kill. But in any case, I do still get the kill on him, and I'm able to go ahead and move on. And here is that nasty AIM-9P. In an 8.7, 9.7 game, this missile is actually disgusting. It has very good range to the BR, and it's still 20 Gs, which, while it is dodgeable, most planes don't have flares in this Matchmaker. Pretty much the only thing that will have flares in an 8.7, 9.7 game is, I think, like the German Hunter, I should say Swiss, I suppose, and then, like, the A4s, and pretty much everything else is flareless. Oh, and the Harriers, of course. And so you can just run them down and lob an AIM-9P at them from, like, 1.3 kilometers, and there's really nothing they can do. In any case, though, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of this change, and are you going to be playing the T2? Hope y'all have a great day, and I'll catch you next time, so peace, y'all.